Quantum TV certified Elden Ring hater is now turned certified woman abuser. I really only knew about this guy over all the Elden Ring slander and hate going for the game and him being a main contributor to it. And not only that, another thing was that I know that he abused his copyright privileges. Unfortunately, that wasn't the only thing he was abusing. With that being said, the guy's in jail and it couldn't be any more well-deserved, and I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to be like any of these other weirdos on the platform and try and hold an Elden Ring grudge over his goddamn head and use my goddamn rune arc and Elden Ring knowledge and mastery of the game and build perfection to roast him. I could do that because I'm a Miyazaki fan and I like FromSoft, but I'm not going to. Because unlike Quantum TV, I have standards. With that being said, hurting women in any way is a big no-go for me, and if you feel like you need to hurt somebody, I'll only do that in self-defense. Honestly, be the bigger man and walk away. There's always a time for it, and to be honest, when it comes to being with your significant other, the last thing you want to do is hit them, so just walk away. There's nothing cowardly about it. It's the right thing to do. If anything, the only cowardly thing to do would be to hit a fucking woman. Really, if anyone, let alone a woman, I know that may sound a little bit degrading to some of you, although that is definitely not what I'm trying to do with what I'm saying. But if you're going to let a woman get you out of your element, that should just say enough in of itself about you and your self-control and how much love you have for that person, because really, I just think the last thing you want to do is either hurt your mom, hurt your sister, let alone your spouse or significant other. With that being said, I do know that there are fans of the term equal rights means equal fights. Our bodies are just built completely different genetically from a woman's, so in that sense, I don't think it's necessary at all to even put our hands on a woman. I know it may sound like I'm going on a tangent here, but really, just respect women, bro. Women are caregivers, they're our lovers, they're a lot more than what anyone truly realizes. Not to sound like a white knight or a fucking simp on the track right now, but I think people are beginning to lose that sense of valor and compassion. And if it's coming to a point where you got to put your hands on someone you love or you're supposed to love, then it's just best to not even entertain that. Because you can only try and put so much forward for someone to try and get them to understand what you're feeling and what you think about them, but it can only do but so much. And if it comes to a point where you feel like you just end up doing something violent and you're not you anymore, that person just wasn't the one for you, man. Just like how you walk away, you just gotta move on and keep going forward. And of course, unfortunately, Quantum TV didn't do that, and there's a lot of clips of him surfacing on the internet saying shit to NPCs in God of War like she deserves to get punched in the throat. And a lot of these quotes really don't age well given his current situation. The irony is definitely there, and it's breaking the scale. I don't know if you'd want to consider this karma for his abuse of copyright over the years, or so much more that he's done that we don't know about, because honestly, I don't really care what this guy does in his day-to-day life. More power to him, but he definitely shouldn't be having any charges of domestic violence. And now let's get into that. So he didn't directly punch a woman in the face. I think a lot of people are forming that misconception online, but there's actually details that go further into this onto exactly what happened. But we do know for sure that he was preventing his significant other from calling the police. So essentially, he would attempt to pry the phone from her fingers to keep her from calling the police so that he could maintain more control on the situation. And honestly, we don't know his true intentions behind this. We don't know what exactly was going on, but there are two sides to a story. And of course, I do think the felon charge in of itself says enough. It also turns out that he was trying to control bank accounts and try and make it so that he could take funds from her account and put it in his. She would then tell Quantum that she was going to call law enforcement if he did not give her cell phone, and he didn't give her the phone, and then it ended up in him giving her multiple lacerations on her hands due to what happened, and he chose not to complete a sworn written statement and the domestic violence paperwork. And this is what really ends up tainting Quantum TV's image, although it wasn't really all that great to begin with due to all the recent controversy he's had throughout the YouTube community in of itself. But right now it's even worse. And this is all happening so that he could transfer funds from his wife's bank account. Probably through more shit, but, you know, this is all the information we have to work with. Getting back to it, lacerations on the wrist. I'm not going to hold you. That is actually terrible. For lack of a better word, I mean, it's pretty obvious what it is. It's abusive because you're grabbing onto someone so hard to a point that they actually end up bleeding. And I shit you not, I've been grabbed by my wrist more times than I could even count as a child. And I can tell you what, adults would grab fucking hard to pull you away from doing something, especially if you're a class clown. I don't know what kind of death grip this man Quantum had, but really, that's just fucking terrible to have it to a point where there are lacerations around someone's wrist. I just don't even ever recall having anything like that ever appear on my wrist in any situation whenever I had to get dragged out in public. Especially so that the adults wouldn't have to suffer from any secondhand embarrassment. But even then, I know that's not much of a comparison, but just imagine that. How tight you have to grab someone in order to tear the skin off of them, in order to make a cut on the body. That's pretty fucking ridiculous, man. I'm really trying my best to be as open-minded as possible here, but the felon says enough in it itself. Honestly, it's kind of hard to find anything else to say because, you know, dude just fucked up and he's just gonna suffer the consequences for it. Did he do terrible shit on YouTube before? Yes, he definitely abused the copyright system and he ended up taking down someone's channel. A lot of people would consider this entire situation to be karma or, you know, him getting his just desserts, which is true, but these things should not be looked at as if they're two parts of the same puzzle because whatever he does on YouTube and what he's doing to his wife are completely different situations. If he's going to be judged off of anything that has to do with YouTube, it's something that YouTube will handle at the end of the day, even though they may not be doing the best job at handling it. In a way, being happy that this guy's being put behind bars over the stuff that he's done on YouTube kind of devalues what happened to the guy's wife in this situation because regardless of what he did on YouTube, it should always just be a problem that anyone is committing any domestic violence. Yeah, it's definitely, you know, the cherry on top, the icing on the cake to see this scumbag get screwed over, but he's only getting screwed over because he ended up screwing somebody else over. The best thing that happened out of this situation is the fact that everyone can stay informed and know whether or not they want to associate with this felon. I'm not going to judge people, nor am I going to tell you guys to, but it's good to have something like that to be known so that you can make your own decisions and come to your own conclusions about someone's character. And really, that's pretty fair if I do say so myself. A piece of shit YouTuber being put down off the platform, you know, at the cost of someone being hurt really isn't something to be happy about. Even then, who's to say that he's going to completely be off of YouTube because as a felon, it's going to be hard to get a regular job. So he might just have to stick to this YouTube gig while he's still able to. And even then, not everyone's going to know about this entire situation in the YouTube community. I know people are going to be at his channel's throat and do their best to make sure that doesn't happen. But how many times can you allow someone to be informed about a situation to a point where they just don't care and they still like his channel regardless? Some people just don't care. The future of his channel is definitely something interesting to even consider thinking about, but considering how much people don't like him as it is for just what he did on YouTube alone, and now this, it's going to come to a point where people might actually end up canceling him. Even if that's not even the case right now, because honestly, it seems like people would have already done it by now. But yeah, this entire situation is crazy. And hopefully Quantum's wife makes the right decisions and takes matters into her own hands.